Hello and welcome to our experience in Marketplace 6 as Team 1, Stark Industries. Our team members consisted of Paulisa Eastland, who was our president and VP of manufacturing, and Brandy Williams, who was the VP of accounting and VP of sales management. So who is Stark Industries? It's simple, really. We manufacture desktops and laptops for customers all around the world. Our mission statement is as follows. We are committed to providing the most innovative and highest performing computer systems with excellent security, functionality, and customer service. So let's take a look and see if we were able to accomplish those things over the last 8 quarters. Quarter 1. To get things started, we first determined the decision-making process. All functional decisions were made by the specialists in their area. However, most major decisions were always discussed with other teammates. Our team norms were as follows. Attendance to all meetings were mandatory and also meeting on time. Outsiders must be approved. We always followed the agenda set before the meeting. Brainstorming occurred during every meeting over every possible decision to be made for that quarter. We limited the interruptions. Everyone spoke their mind before another teammate began on their opinions or their thoughts. We kept everything confidential, and we were always honest with our other teammates. The company began with 10,000 shares at $100 per share for a total of $1 million. Since there was no major things to invest money in, we decided to buy a 3-month certificate of deposit for $900,000. With a quarterly interest rate of 1.5. That was a return of $13,500. Our last major decision for quarter 1 was to buy a market survey sampling plan. Each unit cost $88, and at a size of 1,000, the total cost was $88,000. We decided that buying the best or the plan with the lowest error rate would be best for us in quarter 2 when it came to making decisions. Quarter 2. Now let's look at the business strategy. Our focus was a combination of 2 things. We want to focus on large, highly competitive markets and focus on those markets with fringe segments. Fringe segments we figured were a little bit easier to understand, and we can incorporate the needs into our products a little bit easier than those with just general requirements. When we looked at our geographic market, we want to pick one that was middle of the cost size continuum. We figured this would give us the best return on our products for the cost of making those products. Our competitive posture was to build a market position and defend it. We figured we would make the best product we could and continue to build upon it as the game went along. We decided also to attack the competition on their home ground. We figured incorporating our products, which we consider to be the best, into their regions would disrupt their market potential. Also, our distinct competencies consisted of being the profit margin leader, being the technology leader, being the high service leader in the market, and providing the most reliable product on the market. We would just like to say that none of these distinctive competencies really worked out. It was a bit of a bummer. Next, we had to strategize where to put our production plant. What better place than Toronto, Canada? We picked it for 2 reasons. We thought they had a good production cost index at 99, which was really close to 100, and a middle ground shipping rate to everywhere around the world. We started out our capacity at 50 units a day or 3,250 units per quarter. In hindsight, maybe we should have just went with 25 units a day and not spent the extra money just yet, since we weren't actually utilizing the entire production capacity, which really actually hurt us in our ratios in the game later on. Reviewing the market research took some time. We tried to analyze which markets would be the most cost-effective to enter. Mercedes was definitely out of the question. We figured that Mercedes was the last market we would enter, and only if we were able to obtain the R&D to go along with it. Cost cutters was too general, so much to the point we had a hard time understanding exactly what they wanted. Innovators was a fringe segment that we understood, but we ultimately liked Traveler more. The Traveler needs were clear and the price they were willing to pay made us optimistic we could serve this segment well. Workhorse was a bit general as well. However, it did seem to be a bit more easily understood than Cost Cutters. The overall size of the market was also appealing, and we figured that if we could possibly make a good product for this segment, then we would be able to make a hefty profit. Deciding which sales channels to enter was a breeze, as New York and London was at the top of our list from the get-go. New York and London had very large market sizes, and they were willing to pay the type of prices we were looking for. The negatives, the setup costs. They were extremely high, but that's okay. We figured that it would be worth it. As we mentioned before, we decided to go with the Traveler and Workhorse segments. Our product for the Traveler segment was Voyager. We weren't sure if the game gave us any bonus points for brand names, but we figured it made sense. For Workhorse, we named the brand Alpha Station. When incorporating the parts into the systems, we looked at each of the segment's needs, specifically those listed above 121st, and incorporated them. Next, we looked at the use pattern and incorporated all of those that were above 120 as well. We figured this would be a good starting point and would help to make the system fit the needs of the customer. Quarter 3. We kept our pricing right below what customers were willing to pay in each area, along with a small rebate to draw the customer's attention. Everyone had a purchase display, and this was constant throughout the entire game. We decided that Voyager would be our first priority, as we figured that we might have nailed that one a little bit better than the Alpha Station, since that was a little bit more general. Let's take a closer look at advertising, shall we? We decided to look at customer needs versus the use pattern. We decided to take all scores that were 120 plus from each category and include them in advertising. We figured a combination of both would draw in the customer's eye a little bit better than anything else. We kept all ad placements through local media, as there was only one city per country at the time. We made sure that all ad claims were fair and accurate so that no one could claim that we lied and tried to sue us. When it came time to open new sales offices and to hire sales personnel, we found these decisions to be a little bit more simpler than the others. We decided that 6 people in both offices would help us meet our goals. We hired 1 service person for each office, 2 salespeople for Workhorse in each office, and 3 salespeople for Traveler in each office. We decided to do 1 more in Traveler since it was supposed to be our #1 brand. We also opened a new office in Toronto for the next quarter. We decided that since our production plant was here, that it might be a good market to test, and since it was local, it would have lower shipping costs. So let's take a look at manufacturing for quarter 3. We set our demand projection at 63 units per person. We thought this was being optimistic. That was a total demand of 756. As you can see, our capacity was actually 3,250 units. But as we said before, maybe we bought a little bit too much capacity too soon. To improve our changeover, we spent $100,000. We thought that improving the changeover a little at a time would be more beneficial than doing it all at once. The reduction in time was 15%, and the reduction in cost is at 10%. Our production rules were as follows. If more than one brand is less than the replenishment point, then produce brand with lowest inventory relative to current demand in the last 5 days. If inventory of current brand is greater than the target inventory, and inventory of one or more brands is less than the target point, then produce brand with top production. Quarter 4. So how did we do in quarter 4? Well, not so bad. We own 21% of the total market share. 65% of that was in Traveler, which we were in first place. 18% of the market share in Workhorse, which were in second place. These were our 2 top main competitors, so we were very happy with these results. Unfortunately, we had a loss in sales at 243 units. However, our sales revenue was $2,033,545. Not bad, with a gross margin of about $823,941. But we need to see if we can improve that. So let's see what happened. So let's take a look at our brand judgment. Our first brand, Voyager, had a score of 78. Is it a winner? Of course. Our second one was an Alpha Station at 59. We didn't do so good. We would have at least liked to score a 75 on the first time around, so we can see where we could better improve. We're just going to say this one needs a little bit more attention. We're still optimistic about that brand though. Workhorse just might be a little bit more of a harder market to get than we first originally thought. So let's take a look at our new brand and pricing for quarter 4. First, we decided to improve our current brands, which were Voyager and Alpha Station. We pretty much just changed the ends of those. We want to carry over as much brand loyalty as we could to the next quarter. We also introduced a new brand. We are really excited about this. After taking a second look at innovators, we kind of beat ourselves up for not taking on innovators and travelers versus travelers and workhorse. Innovator had needs that were a little bit more easily understood than workhorse. Our pricing for Voyager and Alpha Station stayed the same. Now that we have Pioneer, we had to set a new price. The price ranged from $3,299 to $3,399 with a $100 rebate for all cities. Quarter 4 required us to open new sales offices as well as add salespeople to our previous office we opened in quarter 3. We decided to go with Rome and Shanghai. Rome was also at the top of our list. It was in our top 5 when we originally looked at all the information. Shanghai was the only country east, at least far east, that we decided could keep up with the pricing and were willing to pay the price that we were looking for. In Toronto, we added 4 new salespeople, 1 service support person, 1 salesperson for Workhorse, and 2 salespeople for Traveler. Remember, we were only testing this office to see how well it worked out for us, so we didn't want to put too many salespeople there because we didn't want to pay the cost of taking them out. So our ad judgments from the last quarter were 64 and 63. They don't get too much better after this, but we tried. We also incorporated a new ad for our Pioneer brand for the innovator market. And also we added more local advertising. So let's look at our manufacturing setup for quarter 4. We had unwanted inventory at 37 units, which we sold for $20,248. We decided not to hold on to them since there wasn't more than 200 of them. Our demand projection rose up to 85 units per person for a total demand of 1,445. Our operating capacity went from 12 to 30. The cost to change over our operating capacity was $80,397. We decided also to improve our changeover some more. So we put in R&D expenditure of $75,000. That was a reduction in time of 9.45% and a reduction in cost at 6.30%. We also decided to keep our target and replenishment points at 100 for target point and 50 for our replenishment point. We increased our fixed capacity by 50 units a day, or 3,250 units per quarter. Our reliability rate was at 68, which was an 8-way tie. Our warranty cost was at $17,363. Our internal hard disk drive and our monitors were our biggest cost factor here. We decided to do a quality inspection and variance study on all critical component units. Quarter 5. Our overall market share was 16%. Traveler was still high at 25%, Workhorse 16%, and Innovators 15%. Overall, we were second place with market share. Our brand judgments were at 63 for Alpha Station 2, 77 for Pioneer, 70 for Voyager 2. Our ad copy judgments were 74 for Pioneer, 62 for All Around 2, and 70 for On the Go. Our reliability judgment was 73. This was a 4-way tie. We decided to invest in some R&D We first went for the ultra high performance and speed, as this seemed to be a request across the board. We decided to go ahead and have it for $1.46 and pay the premium. We also got the high-speed network internet connection, as everyone requested high-speed internet or to be able to connect to their network. We also decided to have this available in $1.46. We also updated our brands Voyager 2 and Voyager 3 to Voyager 3, and we also updated Alpha Station 2 to Alpha Station 3. This was the first quarter in which our priority was going to be set a little bit differently in one of our countries. Canada was a little bit different and had different needs than the US, Europe, and China. However, we did offer all the same brands in all the countries. Our price points were a little bit different for China since they were only willing to pay a lot less than the other countries. The prices ranged from $2,500 to $29.99 for our computers. Our rebates will still remain between $100 and $150. This is also the first quarter in which our advertising strategy changed. We now had 2 countries in Europe, Rome and London. We decided to switch to regional advertising only as it would save us money in the long run. We also opened up new sales offices in the U.S., Chicago, and Los Angeles. We decided to open up in the other 2 cities since the U.S. was giving us our best sales so far. In Brazil, we decided to open in Sao Paulo as we thought it had good potential. And in Europe, we decided to open up in Berlin. So let's take a look at our manufacturing in Q5. We had loss of sales due to stockouts at 1,010. Pioneer held the majority at 713. That answered our question about our Pioneer brands of which one was better, and we decided to stick with the first one. We had unwanted inventory at 53 units, which we sold for $32,084. Our operating capacity went from 30 to 68, and we had a fixed capacity of 100. Yet again, we must emphasize that we should have not had so much capacity if we weren't going to use it. We improved our changeover with $600,000. This caused a reduction in time at 47.62% and a reduction in cost at 31.75%. This is also the first time we would be changing our target and replenishment. More so our target point. It went from 100 to 150. And we kept our replenishment point at 50 at the moment, since we had diminishing market share. Our fixed capacity increased to 25 units a day. Our quality improvement variant study showed that internal hard disk drive were having issues, so we decided to invest in it to make it better as well. Q6. We decided to license out our R&D features to other companies. We sent our ultra high performance power speed to ISIS International for $1,900,000. We also sent our high-speed network internet connection to Broadline Computer Solutions for $800,000. We thought it was best to recoup some of our money for the R&D features. We had new brands, Voyager 4 and Alpha Station 4. They are pretty much upgrades from our previous brands. We also modified our brand Pioneer to Pioneer 3. We added the new R&D features, high performance power speed to Voyager 4 and to Alpha Station 4, and we added the R&D features, the ultra high performance power speed to Pioneer 3. So we did some added modifications. We did an added modification for the Alpha 4 station, and we finally got some local advertising for Toronto, Sao Paulo, and Shanghai, and also the same for Voyager 4. Our Q6 performance results were as follows. We had 26 total market share. Even though the other groups were catching up to us fast, we were first in 3 different markets. The traveler section, we had 41% market share, Mercedes at 27% market share, and Workhorse at 19% market share. We had a lost sales of 1,523 units. We were pretty much underestimating ourselves at this point. Sales revenue was $9,615,712, and our gross margin was $4,909,574. Q7. Special professional training. We now have 95 salespeople, which is a total of 44 new salespeople, There are special training programs that will cost $1,000 per salesperson. We just did not see it in the budget to participate in this program. So therefore, we had zero participation at this point. There was also a contest and vacation that the company could utilize. The cost was $2,000 per person, and it was designed for the top 1/3, which would be 32 participants. The total cost to Stark Industries was $64,000 for this program. We elected on this program instead of the previous one because we decided it was more cost effective at the time for us. Demonstration kits. The average cost of each demonstration kit is $200. The kits would expire in quarter 10 if we were going through the game that long. The company cost was a total of $8,800. We decided that this was another good option, and in conjunction with the last option would be a good total package for our workforce. So our performance results for quarter 7, we owned a total market share of 18.6%. Our workhorse was our best market share at 22.9%, and Mercedes we were second with 15.9%, which was surprising as we had not developed a machine for that market. We lost sales due to a lack of being in stock at 2,884 units. Our sales revenue was $15,711,728. Our gross margin was $7,873,929 for this quarter. Quarter 8. We upgraded 2 of our previous stations, the Alpha Station 5 and the Pioneer 5. They were previously Alpha Station 4 and Pioneer 4, respectively. We introduced a new brand called Savers, which was for cost cutters. Originally, we did not want to get into the cost cutters market. However, seeing how well some other teams did, we decided to take a chance. Our marketing effectiveness was at 0.80. That was overall a 4th place. We were pretty surprised by this, as we had a lot of trouble with advertising in a couple other areas. Quarter 8 performance results. We owned 9.3% of the total market share. We came in 3rd in Workhorse with 11% and 4th in Innovator with 10%. We had a total lost sales of 1,796 units. Our sales revenue was $30,762,226. Our gross margin was $12,891,734. So let's take a look at the results. Here are some points of interest before we continue on. Our market share ended up being a dismal 5%. Remember, after the second quarter, we were actually at 21%. Our unmet demand ended at only 2%. We were glad to see that we were utilizing our production capacity a lot better at the end of the game. Our best seller ended up being our Pioneer brand for the Innovator market. Once again, we really should have taken a closer look at this market from the beginning. Our earnings per share ended at $63. We would have liked to see this closer to $150 per share. Then again, with our market share diminishing over time, we were just glad to see this in the positive. Our revenues were modest compared to the 2 top teams, and gross profit and net income didn't even begin to compare. However, we did make a profit and were able to do so without taking any loans. Our return on paid-in capital was 33.6. It's not bad, but it wasn't great either. So let's take a look at the weaknesses and strengths of the company. We'll start with the weaknesses first, as bad news always sounds a little bit better followed by good news. So what does the game say? Investment in the future was only at 1.06. In order for this to be considered a good score, it really should have been 3 or better. We understand the low score, however, as we did not take the time to invest in the company past quarter 1. We thought maybe having that money on hand for future purchases or the rise in cost of things would have been better. However, in hindsight, maybe we should have invested at least through quarter 1 and quarter 2, where we spent less money than any other quarter. Although the game says investment in the future was our weakest category, we believe that advertising was much, much worse. We plain suck at it. We even stressed ourselves at points trying to figure out how to make them better. However, in the future, we'll take a better look and see just where we can improve that at. Now on to better news. Our financial risk was a perfect 1. This means that the game saw no perceivable financial risk. In other words, we are really good at handling our money. We were in a 4-way tie in this category. Our wealth was determined to be 1.879. We were slightly below the average, which was 1.99. Overall, we were in 4th place in this category. Not too shabby. We were also in 4th place for the market performance. Our score was 0.055. We were well below the average for this category, which was 0.15. So what did we learn through this process? First, never buy more capacity than you need or expect to use. We found that it was actually a waste of money to do so. The next time we will make sure to invest more in R&D as well, especially on the fringe segments. We found that the Innovator and Mercedes markets were similar in a lot of areas. Several R&D investments could have been used in both. Unfortunately, this is the one reason we stayed away from the Mercedes market, but it actually worked to our disadvantage. Also, we'll let our money work for us the next time. As we stated before, we did not invest in the future properly. We could have at least let our interest compound throughout the game. And our worst area, as we stated before, was figuring out advertising. Oh, it was such a pain, and we still haven't figured out quite what the customers need to see or want to see in an ad. If you have any thoughts on that, feel free to let us know. We are sure you all have questions, so leave us your comments and questions and we will answer them as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching.